So let's talk about how to approach the exercises and your training to build muscles the most efficient way. So the first one is range of motion. Range of motion is so crucial because with increased range of motion you can create a deeper stretch in the muscle and incite more hypertrophy. But be careful, make sure your form is good. Don't sacrifice form for more range of motion. Also, sometimes you have to work on flexibility to increase range of motion. But it's also like that if you use the range of motion, you will likely get more flexible. So the more you go in full range of motion, let's say in a deep squat or full row or full pull-up, you will actually get better at the end range flexibility and stability. Next one is eccentric control. Very important for good form. So in a movement we have two kinds of phases. We have concentric phase and eccentric phase. The eccentric phase means I'm lengthening the muscle under tension. So for example, when I do a bicep curl, this is the concentric phase, so I have to go against the weight to bring it up. And then when I go down, for example here slowly, this is the eccentric phase. I'm lengthening the muscle. So if we slow down during the eccentric phase, we create more muscle damage and therefore create more hypertrophy. An approach could be like this. So you go full range bicep curl and then you go slowly down on a 3 or 5 count. So it would be 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, full stretch. And then come up again. Normal speed. Then again slowly down, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, boom. The next one is intensity and volume. So intensity means how hard do you actually have to go during a set. So again, for example, biceps curl, ideally you should go to near failure. You don't have to go for full failure, although you can do it sometimes. Which is a good thing as well, as long as you keep good form. That's always very important. Anyway, you should try to hit like, it's called reps in reserve, RER, reps in reserve. Ideally, you stay within 1 to 3 reps in reserve. So let's say, for example, you do 12 reps of biceps curl, and the last rep, the 12th rep, should feel really, really heavy. So you feel the burn already, but you could technically do 1 or 2 reps more. That would be the right intensity for each set. So, well, how many sets you actually have to do? Well, that depends also on your training experience, of course, but usually it's like that. So if you go to failure during a set or near failure, and the next set feels already really hard, you don't have to do another set. It doesn't make sense because you already put the stress in the muscle. And it's all about stressing the muscle. So what about volume? How many sets and reps do you actually have to do? Well, usually a rep count from 8 to 30 reps will incite hypertrophy, so muscle building. A good strategy is to start with higher reps and lower weight, so you get used to the technique as well from the exercise. And then over time, and this is the next point as well, progressive overload, you go down with the reps and increase the weight. So something that I like to do is first week 15 reps, second week 12 reps, third week 10 reps, fourth week 8 reps in the same exercise. So how many sets should you do? 2 to 4 sets is really good for hypertrophy. The first set, usually I try to go a little lighter because then I know the feeling of the exercise. I get a little bit warmed up and then I can check how much weight I can take that day because every day is different. And then from there, in the second set, I'm gonna go to near failure. And after the second set, I know if I can do another third set, if that makes sense. And also this would be a progressive overload option as well, that over time you increase the set. So maybe first month you start with 2 sets, then the second month with 3 sets, and then you go up to 4 sets. That would be also increasing volume and create progressive overload. And now you've probably figured out what progressive overload means. It's very important to increase stimulus in the muscle over time. So that's what progressive overload is here for. So you can do that via intensity, volume, or changing the exercises, or changing little variations of the exercises to still stimulate muscle growth. If you don't do that, you will not build muscle over a long period of time. You will stagnate and even go backwards if you don't change those variables. And now probably one of my favorites and most important, consistency. It's very important to do this over a long period of time. It doesn't make any sense if you do it for 3 months because it takes time to build muscle, and actually you will make the biggest gains when you train for a long period of time and consistently. And how many times per week should you actually train? Well, if you can do once a week, you will actually already make some good gains. But if you do it 2 times per week, that's where you're gonna really make really good gains. So if you do the training session with those exercises 2 times per week, you will get very far. Ideally, you spread out the 2 sessions, so I wouldn't do it back to back. Leave at least 1 day in between to recover and then do the workout again. Ideally 2 or 3 days if you can manage. It's something I like to say about consistency as well. It's way more important to do less over a long period of time than doing a lot over a short period of time. You will get more gains if you do it for the next couple of years. But if you won't get much gains if you do it for 6 months with a very high volume, you will probably get injured as well, so that's not a good idea. So if you keep those points in mind, you will actually get very far in your training with those exercises. And you will also become very strong and confident. This will give you a really good base to build upon for other variables in training, like power training, endurance training, flexibility training, strength training, to actually get really strong. So all those variables we need to work on, but first of all we need to work on a really good base of muscles. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas or questions, and I see you next time.